Namaskar dear students, welcome you to our channel Bio by Gulab Sir. As a part of series of lectures, last topic of the respiration, fermentation. As you know that there are two types of respiration, aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Fermentation is an anaerobic respiration, occur in absence of oxygen and it is always take place in the cytoplasm because either of it occur in absence of oxygen or absence of mitochondria. So prokaryotic cell generally or those organisms which do not have mitochondria, they respire anaerobically and produce some intermediate compound like organic acids and alcohol, so that complete energy is not released. So anaerobic respiration is to have incomplete breakdown of complex organic substance to release the less amount of energy. So as fermentation. But specially the word fermentation is used because it is carried out by microbes. Then what is fermentation? Again as same, it is an aerobic respiration. It is an anaerobic respiration, means that occur in absence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration in which that complex organic substances are incompletely breakdown or incompletely broken into some intermediate compound, not final compound as a carbon dioxide and water. Intermediate compound like lactic acid and alcohol. But specially, alcohol is produced by the action of microbes, and therefore saying that fermentation for all anaerobic respiration is not correct. But when it is carried out by microbes, then it can be said as a fermentation. So as you are aware about fermented food, that which is carried out by yeast, like idli, khammam, dokla, that is very popular, and some like production of curd. These are the product of fermentation. Even wine, beverages, they are the product of fermentation because incomplete breakdown carried out by microbes. But lactic acid production in our muscles cannot be said as a fermentation because it is occur because of inadequate supply of oxygen not carried out by microbes. So this is very important to understand, which is not mentioned in textbook. Yes, lactic acid also produced by bacteria, that can be called as lactic acid fermentation. So it has to be differentiated clearly and correctly. So lactic acid produced in our muscle is an anaerobic respiration but not fermentation. Lactic acid produced by lactobacillus bacteria in milk to form the curd, it is fermentation. And alcohol produced because of incomplete breakdown of this complex organic compound glucose for the pyruvic acid incompletely broken into alcohol with the help of microbes, that is yeast and bacteria, hence it is a fermentation. Now see, this is the process. It is not directly that alcohol is being produced, but glucose undergo stepwise breakdown to produce pyruvic acid, further pyruvic acid undergo dehydrogenation in presence of pyruvate dehydrogenase to produce acetaldehyde. This is what CH3CHO. These undergo reduction. So CH3CHO, acetaldehyde, undergo reduction with the addition of hydrogen and then alcohol is produced. So CO2 produced during alcohol fermentation, but CO2 is not produced during lactic acid fermentation. That is the point of NEET. Very important, please note down. So here this alcohol is produced because of that action of the yeast and bacteria, and that process of anaerobic respiration which written in book is directly that glucose to produce alcohol with carbon dioxide and 2 ATP. It is not mentioned intermediate that pyruvic acid, so that it must be very clear to you. Glucose is not directly converted to alcohol but through pyruvic acid and acetaldehyde. I hope you got it. Second, when we do exercise fasting, sometimes we have to run because of some reason for 2 to 3 kilometers, and that is all of a sudden we are not in practice like athletes. So by that time, to have the sufficient supply of energy for running fast to get escape from enemy, so by that time our muscles anaerobically respire to fulfill the need of that ATP to have the fast movement, and thereby lactic acid accumulate in our striated muscles, and that is what causes the fatigue or called muscular cramp. So sometimes our muscles undergo fatigue because of this reason. So lactic acid production in muscle in inadequate supply of oxygen is lactic acid anaerobic respiration of glucose into lactic acid, but it also carried out by bacteria, therefore it can be said as fermentation. Therefore I wrote here lactic acid fermentation. So very important that both are incomplete breakdown, anaerobic respiration. Very important to note that during both the processes, energy release is very less. How much less? Very less, even less than 7% than that of when the glucose undergo aerobic respiration and produce 36 ATP. During anaerobic respiration, only 2 ATPs are produced. Where that energy has gone? That energy is still present in alcohol and lactic acid. So therefore, alcohol is a energy drink, but it is not recommended as a regular energy drink because it harms our stomach, kidney and liver. Therefore, we should not take it as granted that when we say it is an energy drink, so we are permitted to drink. No. And therefore, government has banned. It has some side effect. No doubt, if it is taken as a medicine or in medicine less than 10 to 12%, it do not harm. And even in beverages like wine and beer, they are having very less concentration. So it is permitted to some of the people, those who are knowledgeable about their consumption, but all are not permitted. Therefore, my advice through this video is not to have this as that energy drink, but it as a sometimes supplementary in medicine. Okay, but very point to note that why energy released during alcohol and lactic fermentation is less than that of aerobic respiration. It is because of in complete breakdown. But why energy released during complete breakdown? Because glucose undergo aerobic respiration when there is a complete breakdown of glucose into CO2 and H2O. That means all bonding energy is released and therefore 36 ATP are produced. And that is what mentioned here as a point to be noted down. Only 2 ATP produced during anaerobic respiration while 36 ATP produced during aerobic respiration. Why? Energy is produced more during aerobic respiration. For that I have given explanation. But very important to note that yeast poison themselves to the death when they produce more concentration of alcohol than that of 13%. And therefore you would have noted down in Bihar and Orissa generally. I am not taking state of name of the any state, but generally news from there and some other state also that people die when they have this alcohol produced on their own by their own method because they are not knowledgeable. Sometimes that yeast have very high concentration fermentation, therefore alcohol concentration is more than 13%. So absolute alcohol is poison, and thereby sometimes people they die by having that deshi daru, that bhatti wali daru, because they are not knowledgeable. So we are knowledgeable, we must inform, we must convey, we must preach this knowledge, spread this knowledge to the people. Although you are having that cheap quality of wine, but it may lead to the death that is very highest cost on the behalf of life. Therefore, one should not practice it because they are not knowledgeable. They just have that practice. Many times it happened that do not affect, but sometime one time it happened, hundreds of people die. Therefore, we have to have education with some value education, and this is why our very duty is to make people aware about this also. So I hope we learn biology at the same time. We learn many values as well as we learn that very valuable thing which are very important in our life. Therefore, we must have that both the things together. We must learn for academics as well as we must learn for life. And therefore, I am very happy and always being very happy to share some of the things which are very correlating with our life. I hope you got it or you enjoyed today's video. I appeal you to share and subscribe it as well as press the bell icon to receive notification as and when new videos are uploaded. Thank you. Enjoy.